The President of the United States.
Harmony and peace in here. First, I sound worse than I feel. Slight cold. But it's been a full week since inauguration. I just wanted to stop by under our new policy, give you an update. I've been talking this week about ethics. The emphasis is not, believe me, a fad or some passing fancy. We're going to be hearing more about it, I think a lot more. In broader terms, I'm trying to set high standards for government service, duty, honor, personal sacrifice for the common good, and I want to assemble a government that the people of this nation can be proud of. That's our goal, that's our mission. We did appoint this week, as you know, a new commission on ethics. We got two able chairman, vice chairman, Judge Wilkie and General Griffin Bell. We that commission started a fresh constructive dialogue with Congress on both sides of the aisle. I'm pleased with the way those initial meetings have gone. So we're ready to roll. I think it's been officially announced that we're going to, certainly to Tokyo, then on to China, that I'm looking forward to very much. And then also we'll be stopping for a relatively brief stop in Korea on the way back from China. We've had other invitations. That's about all we can do. And on a nostalgic basis, needless to say, Barbara and I are looking forward in a very personal way to going back to Beijing. Now, with no further ado, I'll be glad to take some questions. Terry?
Mr. President, you said before you became president that you supported Ronald Reagan's decision on a 50% pay raise for members of Congress, but that you might have something more to say about it once you get to the Oval Office. Most of the polls show that a vast majority of Americans oppose that pay raise.
Yes.
Now you're president. What's your view on that pay increase?
Well, I did say I supported it, and I do support it. A raise is overdue. There's no question about that. There are some good things in this. The reform of the honorarium payments for these speeches, I think, is very, very good. I think it's good government. It's a complicated formulation. There are some elements that bother people, including me, but the president did consider all this carefully. He went forward with the commission's recommendation, and that, because of the way it works on Congress and the ball is clearly in their court, it leaves us with either the commission recommendation or nothing. And so, seeing the problems as I do, I still feel that I should not go about undoing the Reagan decision. Yeah, Helen?
Mr. President, your trial balloon on the S&L taxing savings and checking account has fallen like a lead balloon. Are you dropping that plan? Do you have any other plans?
First place, I think it's a little absurd to be commenting on a facet, a possible facet of solving a problem when it hadn't even come to me. You're talking about speculating on something that hasn't even reached the desk of the president, even as an option. Say nothing of it's being a proposal.
And so, come from your people.
Well, as an option, not as a proposal. And I think you're right. There seems to be some controversy around it, but that doesn't mean that any thinking along those lines should cease. But I'm going to reserve comment until I actually have it presented to me. And I expect this is the first of many such things that's going to happen of this nature. I will say this, that the savings and loans deposits are backed by the full faith and credit of the government, and they are sound, they are good, dollar good. And I just want to assure the American people of that, and nothing is going to change in that regard. But in terms of this one idea, let them float around. It doesn't bother me for a lot of ideas to be considered and debated.
The reaction is very negative, the public reaction, congressional reaction. Will that enter into your decision?
Anything I do on savings and loans, or when we get into this budget deficit reduction program, look, I don't expect it's all going to be sweetness and harmony and light. The minute we get those proposals up there on February 9th, I expect we're going to have other firestorms swirling around. But I have not made decisions on this one. I'll wait till I get all the facts, call them as I see them, and hope that we can convince the American people that that's the way to go. Yeah,
Mr. President, you've set a tone of high-mindedness and propriety this week with your emphasis on ethics, also bipartisanship in your discussions with Congress. Beyond those matters of process and tone, sir, what would you like the country and the world to say is the message of your first week in office as to what your administration is about?
reaching out to the Congress. I really am serious about this, trying to get more of a bipartisan foreign policy, for example. And though we haven't addressed that specifically in terms of issues, I have addressed it in broad terms to the members of Congress with whom I've met here and with whom I've met over in the residence. And so I'd like to signal an era of real openness with Congress. Look, I know we're going to have conflicts, Britt. I know we're going to run up against each other, but I want to start with that approach. And we're in a broad review, as you've heard from my various nominees, up as they appear before the Senate, on specific areas of foreign policy. But a message would be taking steps to make clear to the congressional leadership that that's what I want to do. The other one, as I mentioned, is trying to set a tone in terms of conflict of interest that I hope will serve us in good stead.
Do you think it may send the world, sir, that you're making your first visit to China after, of course, the ceremonial trip to Tokyo, while Soviet leader Gorbachev, having asked for early talks, is still waiting for a response?
Well, I don't know what signal it sends in that regard, but let me just remind you that I'm the one who does not believe in, quote, playing the Soviet card or, quote, playing the China card. We have a strong bilateral relationship with the People's Republic of China. I have a personal acquaintance with the leaders with whom I will be meeting there, including Deng Xiaoping. And being that close, it just seemed like an appropriate visit, but not to signal playing of the card to go one up on Mr. Gorbachev. There's nothing of that nature in this visit. That is a strong, important, strategic, and commercial and cultural relationship that we have with the Chinese, the largest number of people in the world in that country. And so the visit stands on its own and does not have any signaling that should be detrimental to anybody else's interests.
Mr.
All right,
President,
across here. How do we get in the back here, Marlin?
Mr. President, your national security advisor